Hello, and today we'll be playing Remember the Flowers. We're about to start chapter 13 now. And Cyrus, Silver, and Aaron are on a road trip, and they're going to travel cross country to Vermont to see Cyrus's old home. Now, the eastern part of the U.S. was impacted heavily by I think it's called the Seven Stars. Well, these meteorites that crashed into the Earth. So, very few people live in this part of the country. So, Cyrus wants to see his old home, and they're going to see if it's still there. So, go ahead and start chapter 13 now. Every now and then I check my axiom to see how long we've been driving. The shift in the time zone makes it kind of awkward to figure out, though. The town we ported from was only a few miles away from the underground base. Unlike the capsule motel, the ports made for vehicles are much more complicated in scale. There's a giant arch that lights up a sky blue at the end of a short runway, acting as a gateway. It's almost like driving into a force field. It feels just as disorientating as you think it would be. Before I knew it, we were speeding halfway across the country. If we were in Arizona before, we're somewhere around Tennessee now. I feel like a little kid watching the world around me go by as we drive on this decrepit road. We pass through a few cities as well. Needless to say, it's painfully clear how unlucky this part of the country was during the fall. Despite the fact that we put away from the desert hours ago, the countryside is still a total wasteland. The only difference is that there's slightly more trees than before. So, Cyrus, you ever been around here? I don't think so. Most of my family stayed around the northern parts of the U.S. I see. And you moved across the country for school, yeah? So I did. Both myself and Diana got into a merit program in Arizona. We traveled back and forth throughout the year. Did you drive? That sounds like it would take a long time. We did the first time we moved, to bring everything with us. After that, we flew between breaks if we needed to. Flew? Like in a hovercraft? No. We have machines called airplanes that we used to fly all over. Commercially? Really? Yeah, so long as you could afford it, you could go anywhere in the world. Well, besides the occasional boat, we don't have anything that could easily do that. You can't use couch supports? Aaron chimes in. Porting between countries isn't really a thing yet. For one, our country is still in the process of rebuilding everything. Not to mention how the previous nation royally screwed up our foreign relations. It's been a struggle to make a name for ourselves, and until then, we really don't port in or out of the country. Have there been talks of attaining sovereignty? Yes, mainly in resume. Why does that surprise me? Because they are the fastest organization hell-bent on taking over and exploiting massive amounts of people. Couldn't have put it better myself. We can only hope that the boss's plans actually pan out. Aaron pauses a moment before continuing. I really shouldn't tell you any of this, though. Don't worry, I will. Titania wants to try to unify the country again and then another democratic regime. Silver. What? He's going to find out anyway. Besides, give Candle some credit. They couldn't tap into our comms even if they tried. Even so, I don't want to overwhelm Cyrus. I'm feeling pretty good, actually. It makes me happy to be filled in on filled in like this. Yes, you're right. Sorry, Cyrus. You don't have to apologize, Aaron. You know I'm very appreciative of how much you look after me. Also, you're nice to be around. Anyway, while I don't know the exact details, Titania is pretty dedicated to this cause. She's funded the resistance nearly on her own this whole time. Is she a well-known figure? I also don't know about that. I've only met her once, and that was through a video call. She has a serious aura about her that makes it hard not to do what she says. What about you, Aaron? You met her in person, right? Just once as well, when she promoted me to the leader of her squad. I can hear a breathy sigh come from. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, and you call me considerate. I'm fine, don't worry. It was a complicated time. It was shortly after we kicked Lance out of the group. That giant doctor looms over me as I try to sign my release papers. Are you having trouble, sir? Is your arm acting up at all? No, I'm just thinking. I feel awkward holding the pen in my paw. What the hell did Cyrus teach me again? Fuck me. Oh, Mr. Krager, allow me. The weasel easily slips the keyboard and pen out of my intense grasp. You have to forgive him. He didn't have a proper education. Oh, I see. My condolences. You're all so wonderful, taking in those with an unfortunate upbringing. It's what we do. Think nothing of it. And there. I believe that's all you need. Yes, thank you, sir. Please give my regards to the board of directors. But of course, keep up the good work, Doctor. Can we go now? Impatient, aren't we? I suppose being cooped up for so long would do that to a man. I started tugging on that damn collar he put on me. Just feeling a little claustrophobic. As you should. You'll have to excuse us, Doctor. We really must be going. Understood. Again, thank you for all your hard work and generous support. We look forward to serving you again. I'm sure we'll be back before you know it. Don't worry. The weasel starts walking and wordlessly gestures for me to follow. With a scoff, I stuff my paws in my pants pockets and do as I'm told again. You know, you really do have to work on your public appearance. No one's going to want to work with you with that attitude of yours. That's fine by me. I work better solo anyway. I'm sure you're quite experienced in that regard. I start to imagine what the inside of a weasel's neck might taste like. Artemis directs me into what I assume is his own car. It's a sleek and simple design, much like everything else in this boring city. After getting in the vehicle, I struggle to put on the seatbelt to the point that the weasel has to strap me in himself. Honestly, what can you do? I can think of a few things off the top of my head, including biting yours off. Mind, Mr. Krager. Keep this up, and I might have to show you how many volts an Arcadia collar can send through the average male body. I start gripping the side of the seat I'm sitting in with pure frustration. I suggest you ruin your thigh before my pure leather seats, Mr. Krager, and if you do, please be mindful of the blood. I'm going to go fucking insane. Speak of another major fuck up, why don't you give me a little more to work with in regards to your previous employment? Where are you taking me? Artemis sighs with a hint of pleasure. Someone's excited to start working again, aren't we? You're no fun at all. And believe me, boring me will only lead me to trying more entertaining methods to get a conversation going. Seriously, fuck me. Alright, what the fuck do you want? My old crew? Honestly, those details can wait. What I want to know is where you used to work. The resistance, the location, Mr. Krager. Where is it? He's demanding more than asking. And you know what? Aaron isn't worth this. I'll tell you on the road. Not sure you want to make your way there, though. Oliver chuckles as he starts up the car. See, I knew you could be fun to chat with. I think we'll have a pleasant time together. Lucky me. I'm confused. Titania promoted you for kicking Lance out? Basically, she said it was because I was able to make one of the flight decisions, but I don't really buy it. Our squad didn't have a leader for a long time, and because of that, we were dysfunctional and unreliable. Oh, you weren't always a leader? Or was it? Reggie was. Oh, I see. Are you sure you want to talk about this? I can hear Aaron chuckle through the headset. It's not easy for me to remember, but I assure you I'll be fine. You already know most of what happened anyway. True. What was she like, in person? I only met with her for about 30 minutes. We had paperwork to do and deals to discuss. I'm pretty wary of those in authority. It had to be when I was growing up. But I don't know. At the very least, I think she's fighting for a cause that's worth it. It's worth it to me, anyway, so whatever happens, happens. Aaron. Now, no, don't worry about me. That's my job. I made my choice, along with everyone else. Running away isn't an option. That's very admirable. I appreciate your conviction. I'm thankful for you as well, Cyrus. You're a perfect example that I'm fighting for something that's worth it. You're both so soft. I do have good shampoo and conditioner. I can attest to that. Something worth fighting for. Besides the occasional conversation about that, the next few hours on the road were pretty quiet. Eventually we started driving off the beaten path for a little while. Still spotted a small forest we could sleep in tonight. Forest may be an exaggeration, but there's enough trees to give us some cover. Sarah says she's going to be gone before we wake up. Wanted to get a head start on digging for lodestars. We started setting up camp together around a big fallen tree. I can't help but gaze through the trees. Despite the way this world is now, it is refreshing to see all these plants in the wild. I must be staring for a long time, because Aaron tries to snap me out of it. Cyrus, what's wrong? Oh, nothing, sorry. My mind has been preoccupied for a little while now. I've been mulling over what Aaron said earlier. Do I have something to fight for? Do I want to fight? Yeah, people I don't want to lose again, but what could I do to stop someone from hurting them? I try to flex my arms. While they feel a little more firm, I definitely would lose any altercation I came across. I was starting to get frustrated at myself over imaginary scenarios. But I can't deny that danger is always lurking around the corner. I want and need to get stronger. For the first time in years, I feel like I have purpose again. I intend to see it through. Aaron, how long would it take to make dinner tonight? Maybe an hour? I had a stew recipe I wanted to try. Why? Is it okay if I go do something after we're set up for the night? I don't see why not, so long as you're careful. Don't worry, I don't intend to go alone. I turn towards Silver. Hey, Silver? Silver's in the middle of pitching our tents. He doesn't look at me when he responds. Yeah, what's up? Can we do some training before dinner? Silver stops what he's doing to face me. A smile creeps up on his face. Why not? It'll be a good way to build up an appetite. Don't go overboard with him, please. Aaron says with a little bit of worry in his voice. Don't worry, I'm an excellent teacher. Silver holds his paw out under each wrist, grabbing something from both axles at the same time. He soon tosses over something for me to catch. With a short stumble, I manage to grab it before it falls to the ground. It looks like a wooden knife. The blade looks like it's dripping in blue liquid. And since I'm a great teacher, we'll start with the basics. I grip the wooden handle in my palm a little awkwardly. I've cut it with knives before, but I've never attempted to use one as a weapon. Now no, boys. No training until you finish pitching the tents. That's my only stipulation. Yes, sir. Hey, come on. You can teach me how to do it. You're so good at it, after all. Guard your lane. Come over here. It's not too complicated. Even though I've been building my stamina up over the past month, it's still quite low. Silver's been teaching me things for barely 15 minutes. I'm already starting to feel it. After starting with a few pointers, he's been having me try to land a hit on him without much practice. Something about experience being the best way to learn. I can tell he's holding back, moving slower than he normally would, but I still can't land anything. I'm impressed, Solis, though you could still stand for improvement. Your stance is looking good, but your execution needs work. While still holding the knife, I put my hands on my knees to take a few breaths. My chest feels a little warm, particularly around my heart. Silver walks up to check up on me. I know it just started, but do you want to take a break? No, I'm good. Just give me a second to catch my breath. Take your time. We don't have to rush. With a solid step and thrust, I just barely managed to graze Silver's arm, leaving a blue streak on it. Whoa! Finally. Oh, is that how we're doing things, huh? Hey, come on. I'm just thinking like an assassin would. Is that right? How about I show you what that looks like in action? Silver gets into his own stance, holding the knife upside down in his palm. You got good instincts, I'm sure, and you're right. An assassin takes an opportunity to land a kill. That includes taking advantage of someone down on their luck. I think I understand what he's getting at. I'm still tired, but I try to figure out a defensive stance. My gaze is centered on the knife in his hand, thinking of ways he'll try to attack. Ready? Yeah, I think so. Silver quickly sprints up to me, way faster than I thought. It takes every ounce of my being to dodge his blade. Other instinct, I try to jump back. That's about half as fast as I can go when I'm serious. Even so, you were still able to dodge, even while winded. That's impressive. Silver walks up closer to me, just a couple feet away. Well, we definitely want to work on your reflexes. I'm sure you'll get wiped out if we only focus on dodging for full-on assaults. Silver gets into a stance that almost reminds me of a fencer. Stand right there, straight up. You can try to attack, you can try to strike back if you want, but I want you to try to move back and forth to avoid me. You don't let up, don't you? You want to see how good of a teacher am I? You want to see how good of a teacher I am, don't you? Yeah. I swallow my spit and try to focus on Silver. There's something I want to try. I'm not sure if it'll work. I've never tried it like this before. With one final deep breath, I get into a defensive stance once again. Focus. Focus. I start to feel a sensation I haven't felt in a while. I'm not sure exactly when I figure out how to do this, and the specifics are still a bit of a mystery to me, but I learned how to artificially slow down my perception of time. While trapped in resume, I'd often do so to try to tune out the ongoing surgeries around me. Being sedated wasn't an option, as I had long grown immune to it. Instead, I tried falling asleep while slowing everything else around me down. My heart starts beating in a particular rhythm, and my senses kick into overdrive. It's more like I'm thinking faster than my body can keep up with, rather than actually slowing time. In situations like this, it might prove to be useful. Reggie, I try to nod naturally while in this strange state of mind. Sure enough, Silver starts his offense. My eyes are the only part of my body that can keep up with my thoughts. I watch his knife as it slowly gets closer and closer. He's aiming for my left side. Moving like this feels like I'm trudging through a gelatin. With enough effort, I'm able to force myself to sidestep, although I almost lose my balance. I start to feel dizzy, but it's manageable. I can see surprise slowly creep up on Silver's face before transitioning into focus. Without speaking, he tries again to get me. This time he's going for the center of my chest. I try to jump backwards to gain some distance. I'm slowly getting used to the sensation. Breathing like this is awkward. I can't tell if I'm taking enough breaths. It's like I have to do it manually. Silver continues his onslaught of strikes. Whether or not he's trying his absolute hardest, I'm able to dodge most of what he tries to dish out. For a moment I think I see a confused expression on the Silver Fox's muzzle. In the end, he does manage to leave a red streak of paint on my right forearm, but that's only because I was just about to give out. I'm panting. I feel like I could pass out at any second. Silver must be able to pick up on it. He tosses his knife to the ground and faces his palm to me in surrender. Alright, that's enough, Cyrus. If I didn't have a headache before, hearing his slurred speech definitely would give me one. Calm down. Get back to normal. I force my heart back into a steadier rhythm, and after 10 seconds, I'm back to the present. That was oddly impressive. See, thanks. I'm not trying to be insulting, I'm just... He looks me over with a confused look on his face. What the hell were you doing with your heart? It's... complicated. Well, in any case, you definitely got a good foundation for defense. Learn to throw in some attacks of your own in the middle of it, and you'll be able to take down any random thug you come across. I'll take it. God, I'm exhausted. Sorry, I might have went a little overboard. I was trying my best to hit you honestly, but it was like you read my mind. What can I say? I guess I got good instincts. Right. I contemplate on filling Silver in on my little talent. It's not really something I need to hide, right? Over dinner. I'll let you know how I did it. Oh? Yeah, but could you help me back to the camp? Sure thing, you deserve a good rest. All-star pupil of mine. Thanks. Silver puts one of my arms around his shoulder. He's a little shorter than me, but he's strong enough to help me back to the camp. In order to not worry Aaron, though, I tried to walk on my own once to get closer. Just about the amazing smell wafting through the air, I'd say we're right on time for dinner. The white tiger raised us over to the makeshift campsite. He set out a couple of logs around a campfire he made, was cooking the pot of stew he mentioned earlier. "Evening, fellas. How'd the train go?" "A lot better than I thought." Silver proudly presents the streak of fur a color on his arm. "Cyrus did that? Did you let him?" "No, I didn't let him. That would ruin the point." "It got me too, to be fair." "Only once, though. I didn't want to be too extreme with it." "I'm still huffing and puffing too much for my liking." "You went overboard, didn't you?" "Maybe. Who's to say?" Aaron chuckles and moves to the side of the logs he's sitting on, patting the spare space. "You look like you could use some rest. Come here. Dinner's almost ready." "Can't wait." Without hesitation, I walk over and then plant myself next to him, still panting. "Here, have some water, Cyrus." Aaron holds out a small canister. I graciously accept it and start to slowly drink. "Phew, thanks, Aaron. I really needed that. Of course, I think it's good that you're working on yourself, but remember that to take it easy, alright? That feels like all I've been doing as of late. Rehab isn't easy, Cyrus. You've been working hard these last few weeks. Don't sell yourself short." He's right. Give yourself the credit you deserve. I try to hide my sleepless expression by drinking more water. In any case, feel free to rest next to me. I've been told I'd make a good pillow. Huh? Aaron slowly pulls on my shoulder to rest my head against his arm. "No buts. You need to rest. The stew will be ready in a little while. Why don't you take a nap? But trust me, Si, you need to rest your body as well as your mind." Just a tip from one assassin to another. Phew. "Alright, fine, just a short one. We'll wake you, don't worry." Mm-hmm. My mind's already starting to fade as I turn my head to comfortably rest against Aaron. I don't know if it's my imagination or not, but I think I can hear him purring ever so slightly. "What do you mean we wouldn't want to organize a raid? Do you really think I'm the only one who's left? They've set the bases to be evacuated and explode should someone leak information." "That sounds ridiculous to me. I know they're stupid, but not so stupid to waste resources like that. Believe what you want, I really don't care. You should at least try to be a bit more convincing than that. All I'm hearing is an excuse to keep us far away from where your little pals live. I thought information gathering was your forte. Why do you even want to keep me around if you're not going to believe me?" "That call wasn't up to me. It was up to Dario. I'm sure you're aware of him." "I've heard of him, yeah. He's a descendant of Dario something or ever, the guy whose company you sold your soul to. At least I got some kind of profit. You're quite literally in debt to us." Artemis laughs, despite how morbid the situation is. "He wants to meet you in person. You should feel honored. Like Darius all those years ago, he seldom makes public appearances." "Cool. By the way, where's this base you used to work at? I still find it hard to believe they'd rig what little they have to blow up." "I would like to investigate," I sighed, knowing that ignoring his prodding will only lead to more problems. "That's tricky. When I was deployed, our group was still considered rookie and not to be trusted. They hardly told us anything for a while." "That was smart, though. You haven't proven to be very loyal." "Are you going to interrupt me every time I try to speak?" You know, I just might. Your reactions are quite entertaining. Whatever. My point is that while I want and live there, I don't know where it is. We mainly weren't in a remote area that they gave us the coordinates to. You could try there, baby. Was this before or after you had your accident? What difference does it make? If you use that little brain of yours, you could have just opened a map to pinpoint your location. I laugh. For once, I have an opportunity to look smart. You think they're that stupid? They have frequencies that screw with most axioms' location functions. Artemis drops his jovial facade looks quite serious. Is that right? Yeah. Unless you had clearance, they would limit the functions while you're in the main base. That is very good to know. The weasel switches batteries annoyingly, so it casts itself soon after, at the drop of a hat. I was worried at first, but it looks like you're good for something after all. Oh yeah, enlighten me. I've had my suspicions for a while now, but it looks like I'm going to need a personal chat. With? With Dietrich Steiner, the creator of the Axiom. He's always been so proud about his encryption and neutrality policies. What you've just told me leads me to believe they haven't been playing fair with us. I'm sure you're aware of how that makes me feel. See, selling out your former comrades isn't as hard as you think it is. You're implying I'm going to get paid for it. We'll just disregard your hospital bills and call it even. How's that sound? Whatever. How much longer do we have to drive? Doesn't Tensia have Gates support us? What's the fun of that? I didn't save up for this car just to barely use it. We'll be there in an hour. I assume there is. Resume, yes, the main location and all. I'm sure with your line of work as a lady, you're familiar. I'm going to take a nap. Wake me when we get there. Sleep well. Maybe when you wake up, your cranky attitude will be gone. Don't count on it. Oh, trust me, I won't. As usual, the meal Evelyn made for us is absolutely amazing. The stew paired with the cool breeze from the forest makes a relaxing experience. Later in the evening, Silver and I start chatting about training ideas. By the way, Cyrus, what's with that axiom? I noticed it earlier. Doesn't it weigh your arm down? Kind of. It's not very heavy, but it does make it a bit awkward to swing the knife. Maybe we should get you a more compact model like the ones we use. Come to think of it, I've never seen that type before. Aaron's the one who gave it to me. Apparently it wasn't released to the public. That's right, despite the fact that it's more advanced than most models, it has a lot of limitations, mainly because it has to connect to the host through their nerves. I hold my arm out so Silver can get a better look at it. It has an AI in it that's been helping me figure out how to use it, but I'm still learning. I see, it's just so bulky. You could maybe use it as a mirror in a pinch, but that's just stretching it. Maybe you're right. The only issue is that I wouldn't want to damage it. Well, you should be able to change its shape at least a little bit. Huh? What do you mean? Thanks for a moment. I've only seen one other person use it, but yours look a lot different than when we had it. It's supposed to be able to change shape. Aaron tugs on his green bandana as he tries to remember. He used it while fighting a lot, but couldn't do much with it without hurting himself. He wasn't able to do anything too crazy with it, although I remember he was able to fire some sort of blast from it once. Aaron sighs, nearly burned his arm off in the process. Can an Axiom really do that? Now that you mention it, I remember how weird it was when you put it on me. It was a blank slate for a moment before it started to change. Even the screen ports look different than what I remember. I have to wonder if that AI adjusts the form based on the user. Let me try something. I calm my mind to use the mental link with my accent. CAI? Yes, operator. I assume you've been listening to in our conversation. Are you able to change your shape at all? Certainly. What form would you like me to take? Offensive, defensive? How about efficient? A little lighter would be helpful. One moment, please. Okay. Just like that, the axiom covers itself in a verdant green light. It doesn't last for a long time, maybe 10 seconds. I barely have time to register what happened before CAI speaks to me again. Reduce physical surface area by 45%. Any less would impede functionality. Is it to your liking? Staring at what just happened, I start to rotate my arm around. I could feel it sucking out some of the metal underneath the skin when I changed shape. Instead of looking like a large metal band, the axiom now looks more like a brace attached to my arm. It only covers the top of my arm now. The underneath is replaced with two metal straps to keep it in place. It's still embedded in my skin, but it's not nearly as suffocating as before. My arm definitely feels a lot lighter. Wow. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? How do you get it to do that? I can kind of talk to it in my mind. It can hear my thoughts so I can communicate without anyone knowing. That's crazy. I never knew something like that existed. Like I said, they didn't make many. Wonder what else I can make it change into. Just be careful, it's still inside of you, after all. That's true. It felt a little weird, I'll admit. I could feel it sucking out some of the metal underneath the skin when it changed shape. Quadi. All through telepathy, huh? Yeah, pretty much. That actually gives me an idea. Sorry to get off topic, Silver, but I had something that I wanted to tell you while we were training. Oh, what is it? It's hard, but I tried to explain to both of them about my weird ability. I leave out the part about me feeling dizzy and fatigued so everyone doesn't worry. Interesting. That explains why your heart was acting up before. Yep, while you're gone, I'm going to try and practice with it, mainly on how to use it with my accent. There's a lot of potential with an ability like that. I doubt many people could do it. You said your chest felt warm while you were in that state, right? I hope that isn't your artificial heart overheating or worse. That caught my attention too. When we're back home, let's have Vita take a look at it. Hope it's not too confusing for them. I could definitely use some maintenance though. It's been a while. I could slice you open so we could take a peek at it. Thanks, but I don't trust you to put me back together. Fair enough. Aaron calls. Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to ask you something, Cyrus. Yeah, what's up? I hope this isn't rude to ask. What's got you so fired up lately? Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that you're feeling passionate, but I guess I'm just surprised. I didn't peg you for a fighter. I don't really know how to explain it. I mean, I never really thought about fighting until recently. I think back at my times at university with Diana and Damien. I don't think I told you, but I didn't really want to become a doctor when I got into grad school. My folks were the ones who pushed me toward it. I hated blood and gore. Looking at the diagrams and pictures in the textbooks was more than enough to make me feel ill. Then, I'm stumped. I guess even now I shouldn't expect to remember everything super clearly. It was centuries ago, after all. Sorry, I'm not sure where I was going with this. I think I just learned that I wanted to help people. I don't know. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't push yourself. Evan places a comforting palm on my shoulder. Thanks, Evan. I really don't know why I'm this amped up, though. You should just be fighting for your survival. You do it all the time. Maybe. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't so forgetful. I stare down at my reflexive mirror against CII's new appearance. My brow is furrowed. I want to fight, but what do I want to fight for? Obviously for my new friends, but I know there's something more to it than that. This is going to bug me for a while. I can feel it. It isn't until Silver claps his paws that I snap my attention back to the conversation at hand. You've got plenty of time to do some soul searching, Cyrus. But speaking of time, I should probably get going. What? Already? Yeah, I just got a message about that potential new base we're investigating. It's looking like there's something to it. I guess it was only a matter of time before they started looking for opportunities all the way out here. What are you going to do? I'm going to be as annoying as I possibly can. Huh. Then I guess I have nothing to worry about. Just be careful, right? If worse comes to worse, text me. We can try to come help. I appreciate it, but what kind of assassin calls for backup? The kind that has friends, that's what. Silver blinks before he smiles. Hope you find what you're looking for, Cyrus. Be sure to show me what's in that time capsule when we're back home. You got it. Do your best. I always do. Good luck out there, Silver. Silver nods and then gets up from the log, putting his hoodie back on. After a deep breath, he speeds off towards his bike. He must have been taking it easy on me earlier. That level of agility is insane. It isn't too long until we hear the roar of his bike echo through the empty forest, only to slowly fade into the distance. It's just the two of us again, and I'm very aware about that. Do you get enough to eat, Cyrus? Absolutely, it was delicious, as always. Ah, leave flatter me. Nothing like a good campfire meal. You said it. Here, let me clean up. You don't have to do that. I know, but I want to. No buts. Guess I can't argue with you, though there's not much to clean up. Evan passes me the lid that goes over the pot that he cooked the stew in. You can just take it off the fire, then pack it up. That would be great. You got it, boss. Evan chuckles while I start cleaning everything up. Thankfully, it really isn't that much. I grab all the bowls we used and then rinse them out with water the best I can. Are you nervous about tomorrow? It's been a while since you were last home, right? That's putting it lightly. I took all the dishes before putting them away in a nearby crate. The last time I saw my parents was before the fall was announced. At the time, Current kept me at the facility to make sure I stayed sanitary. I was supposed to fly home at some point to catch up with them. Obviously, that didn't happen. I'm sorry I shouldn't have brought it up. Opie, I want to talk about them. I'm trying to be as open as I can about everything that's happened, you know? In that case, why don't you tell me about them? Boy, where do I even begin? Why not a losing game of 20 questions? Huh, I think I'll take you up on that. Even when I get comfortable around a dying campfire. For the next hour or so, he asked me about random facts of my previous life. He eventually takes his Axiom out to start typing in it, saying he's been researching how the old world used to be. Aaron was quite attentive throughout my many ramblings. He's picking up on things I wouldn't consider abnormal, but are wildly different than how he grew up. Your parents sound wonderful, Cyrus. I can only imagine how hard it must have been to go through school like that. It wasn't the worst. I had a lot of help along the way. Definitely couldn't have done it without them. A proper support system is all you need. Aaron sets off his accent before he leans back. I hope your old way of life becomes more commonplace in the future. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. The world was still pretty city back in the day, just a different state of city. Things seemed a lot more simple back then. That's probably because I can't properly explain how complicated it all was. The government was pretty shitty most of the time, and healthcare was way too expensive. My folks weren't super well off for most of my life. We made do, but it was rough. Part of the reason I went to work for Current was to help my parents pay for my college expenses. That's very admirable of you, Cyrus. I'm sure they're proud of you. I'd like to say that. I'd like to think so. They did a good job raising me. I miss them a lot, to be honest. I can imagine. Aaron sits straight to face me. Well, it's not very fair of me to ask about your past without telling you about mine. What? Want to tell me about how you grew up? Still, as you know, I have a lot of stories. I'm all ears. I've been curious about a few things, to be honest. Oh yeah? Like what? I'm curious how you met everyone. You told me you met Lance and Reggie at the orphanage. What was it like growing up? The orphanage. Obviously, it wasn't an ideal situation to be in, but we made it work the best we could. Despite how strict the staff were, they tried to make sure we were well fed and comfortable. It was a poor establishment, however, so we didn't have many luxuries. Lance, Reggie, and I shared a small room together. I had a bit of a growth spurt when I was young. I remember having to sleep on the floor for a little while until they replaced my bed. Every now and then, I try to anonymously donate plumes to help out. And not as long as Aaron recollects his childhood not wanting to interrupt. When Reggie turned 18, he got accepted for a scholarship and was able to travel to go to school. We only saw him a few times a year after that. Aaron's voice starts getting a little somber. It was just me and Lance in that little room for a while. I think I was about 14 at the time. We played and talked a lot, but it was still lonely. At the time, it wasn't very common for kids to get adopted, those who usually showed some sort of promise. Basically, if you weren't useful in some way, shape, or form, you didn't get to leave. Reggie actually got asked a few times, but said he'd only go if we were able to go with him. In the end, it never worked out. Then I turned 18. I was finally old enough to work. A nearby factory had a stranglehold on the orphanage that exploited the small staff of the orphanage to get free laborers. I didn't want to cause a fuss, so I decided to go willingly. I remember how teary-eyed everyone was especially Lance. Lance wasn't of age yet, but he wouldn't let me leave alone and insisted he come with me. Aaron manages to chuckle while reminiscing. He was a needy guy. I'll tell you what, I always needed reassurance. Lacey graduated from intermediate level of education, was on his way to university, but after hearing about us leaving, decided to drop it all and come back to us. Factory life, well, it didn't work out for me, to say the least. They didn't pay us much and would often delay paying us altogether. They kept pushing us to work. Oftentimes it led to more violent outcomes. I still remember the time they threw a winch at Lance's face and the beating I gave the supervisor who did it. After a few months, I got the courage to get us all to run away. We ran away as fast and as far as we could. I was bitter, very bitter. My folks abandoned me. I couldn't find a job. I barely knew anything. I had to take that anger out on something. What's wrong? Cyrus. I did a lot of awful things I'm ashamed to admit. I was angry at the world around me. It hurt a lot of people. At first I made it a point to not attack anyone for no reason, so we only targeted rival gangs. That code of honor didn't last longer, though. We'd raid any camps we came across in the desert. There was a lot of bloodshed. Even now, I can clearly hear the sound of a bat smacking against a sleeping man's skull. It was efficient and easy. It felt good to get all of my anger out on somebody, anybody. We worked as a team for a while, but I knew deep down I just wanted to raise hell. Eventually, our small band of 3 grew bigger and bigger. We'd take in people over time that suited our interests, eventually becoming a respectable desert gang. That's actually how we ended up meeting Karen. We ran into her during one of our raids. Apparently, we had our eyes set on the same target. It turned into a competition more or less to see who could do the most damage. After everything went down, everyone was pretty much spent for the night. In the end, there was no clear winner. But she stuck around after that, and we eventually merged our gangs together. I can't deny that it was an exhilarating time in my life. Aaron's size louder than I've ever heard. I won't make excuses for myself. I won't even try to sugarcoat it, saying we did what we had to do. We were a band of thieves who did what we wanted, when we wanted. I'm ashamed to admit it, but that's what we were. Sorry I prattled on for a while, didn't I? It was eating at me. I wanted you to know who I really am. He said it again, just like when we were with Vita, where I got my memories back. He's shaking again, just like when we were with Vita, when I got my memories back. It takes me a moment to say anything. It is a lot of information to take in and all at once. I don't want to disregard everything he's told me, though. So what changed? What do you mean? You've been the nicest person I've met since I got out of Current. Something must have happened for you to end up like this. Life dealt you a bad hand. I think you had the right to be angry about it. Granted, some things you told me were not good. I put a reassuring hand on his shoulder. He flinches. Do you feel bad about what you've done? One thing you could know. I wish I could just forget about it all, but that would be cowardly. Yes, it would be, but you know what? Isn't admitting that what you were doing was wrong and going to be a better person. I mean, for fuck's sake, you were scrapping by after the apocalypse, Aaron. that's not something a lot of people could handle. You say that, but I can still remember it as clear as day. I can't sleep some nights. I just think about it. Have you been keeping this to yourself all this time? Yeah, for the most part, but that's only because everyone else knew where I came from. I was worried the most about you finding out. I couldn't live with myself when you started seeing me as some kind of monster. Why would I think that? Because I did. You did bad things there when you fucked up. But you're trying to atone for that, right? Yes, I am. But I don't think it'll ever be enough. It might not be, but you're trying. That's better than most. That's better than some people I know who have done a lot less. He starts to tremble, and I take that as my cue to give him the best side hook I can. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, Aaron. I hope you know how happy you made me. I can't see his face, but I can hear him whimper as he tries to return my hug. We sit quietly for a while. Eventually the fire goes out, almost leaving us in the dark. The moon's bright tonight, which gives us enough light to look around. I can see Aaron wipe his face with his bandana as we separate. Man, I thought I couldn't get more pathetic. Don't say that. You're not pathetic at all. You say that, but sometimes I'm not so sure. When push comes to shove, I'll be there to pick you back up. Silas. You remind me a lot of Xavier in a way. That catches me off guard. What do you mean? You asked me earlier that something had to have changed, right? I'm not letting anyone know I'm going to keep listening. It was a few years after we left the orphanage. We were a bit notorious, I'll tell you what. Sometimes we got a little too brave for our own good. Part of that was leading ways into more developed cities. There's a town to the east of Tennessee called Stein. It wasn't as advanced as Tennessee, but it was pretty close. We decided to raise hell in a place that had never seen it before for no reason other than to prove a point. During our first raid, however, something happened that changed our lives forever. Hey you, can you hear me? Please help me. Huh? I grunted in the direction of the soft voice. A small white-haired human jogged up to me. He was gasping for breath. They were absolutely filthy with completely tattered clothes. He must have been desperate if he came to help. He came to me for help. You shouldn't be here. Don't you know there's a raid going on? That's how I was able to escape. Can you help me out of here? After that, won't bother you ever again. When they lifted their head up to look at me, I thought they were winking at me while their eyes were closed. Please, I don't have any money or valuables, but I can pay you back in time, I promise. The more I looked him over, the more I realized just how beat up he was. Hey, Aaron, what the hell are you doing? We got shit to beat in. My second in command yelled for me from the other side of the street, pipe in hand. Wait, you all saw this? You gotta get out of here. And why is that? Because Resum was stationed here. What? Look around at the damage we've done and just how much shit we were in. The small human grabbed my paw and then tried to direct me away. If you don't get out of here, they're going to kill you, please. I'm 6 feet 8 inches tall. This human couldn't be any taller than 5 feet 10 inches. He was scared of the situation at hand, but fearless of me. I had never been more confused in my life. Sounds wailed in the distance. The human tried pulling me even harder. Damn it, Karen. Round up everyone. We're getting out of here. We were back at our desert camp for the night, a good few miles south from Stein. I could still see a cloud of smoke coming over the horizon, but I was pretty sure we ran far enough away that they wouldn't be able to find us. I tried to do a head count. I was disappointed when I came up short. 5 of us didn't make it out. Their deaths were on my selfless hands. So, do you mind telling me who you are? Where you came from? I've never seen a human with white hair before. They both were treated the person who wound up taken care of. We didn't have a lot of medical supplies, but thankfully most of his wounds seemed to be old. After he took a swig of water, he finally answered, "Yes, of course. Thank you for taking me in, by the way. My name is Xavier Soul. I was arrested in Rizum. I actually just escaped a few days ago." "Escaped from a hospital? How much time do you all have?" Leslie and Lance looked at each other before looking toward me. I grunted before I got up and sat next to him. "Just how much shit have we gotten into?" "You don't know the half of it." He would explain all of his experiences over the past 100 or so years. I didn't believe him at first. Given his appearance, however, I eventually gave in. Wesley held his chin and thought. So the saviors of the land are actually just a public black market? Wesley sighed before he shook his head. "Glad I didn't end up working for them after all. You believe me?" "It's hard not to, particularly with your eye." Xavier held his hand over his closed eye. "You'd have to be pretty committed to pretend to have your eye harvested." My blood started to boil. Yet another aspect of the world who takes advantage of the vulnerable. I appreciate you looking at it. I haven't been able to clean it since I left. I didn't do much. Honestly, we should get you to a professor if we can. Wesley turned toward me. "What do you think? We can't take care of him with what we have currently. We can barely get by as it is." "You don't have to tell me that. I'm aware. I'm well aware." "Oh, you don't have to take care of me. I'll be fine." Xavier got up and then patted his dusty clothes. I'm glad you took me in this direction. I have a contact I've been meaning to meet. He set his sights on the desert wastelands to the east. I just hope they're still waiting for me. With all the commotion, I wouldn't be surprised if they left. Xavier turned back to me and then gave me a small smile. "Thank you for rescuing me back there. I'll be forever your debt. We didn't do anything. Don't get it twisted." "If you say so." When they started walking off, I immediately got up and grabbed his hand. "Where the fuck are you going?" Hey, don't scare me like that." Xavier tried to free their puny hand from my grasp, so I let them go. "You're not seriously going off in the desert by yourself, are you?" "I mean, yeah, I don't want to cause y'all any more trouble than I already have. I just know Rizum will catch up soon. You don't want me around." I pinched the bridge of my snout. No, you're not going to just wander around aimlessly in the desert. You're going to freeze to death before you find anyone. I'm pretty tough. That'll help you know. Don't worry. Don't be stupid." I sighed loudly as I rubbed my eyes. Just stay with us for the night. We can try to find the people you're looking for tomorrow. You really don't have to. Do not make me repeat myself. Understand?" I could tell that struck fear in the human as attendant. I couldn't help feeling a little bad about it. "Who are you even looking for?" The human looked at the three of us before he looked at the rest of the camp. "What I'm about to tell you is really confidential, understand? And the info about Rizum wasn't?" "Yeah, but fuck Rizum." And Xavier sat back down with Reggie, Lance, and me. "You see, I'm trying to meet with a resistance group." Xavier explained the gravity of the situation at hand to us, along with who broke him out of Rizum. He told us that For the past 2 years, he's been secretly in contact with a spy who had managed to climb his way out, to climb his way up to try to break him out. There was a mishap right at the end, however. The spy got himself killed while Xavier tried to get away. He couldn't make it out of the city without getting caught, so he's been hiding, waiting for an opportunity to escape. He just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Things started to unravel a bit now that he's had a chance to breathe. When my body let me move right, Grant would still be alive. I'm so damn slow now. He shook his head. My life wasn't worth his. Don't diminish his sacrifice for making yourself feel bad. You're disrespecting him. He said that, but I'm sure he just wanted to help you. I mean, he wouldn't have gone through all that if he didn't. If he didn't, right? I know, but Xavier's gaze turned toward me. That one eye widened in surprise. Oh shit, were you shot? He said in a panic which confused me. What are you going on about? They pointed to my calf. Sure enough, there was a tear in my pants and some blood. Oh, something must have grazed me on the way out. Didn't even notice. Mr. Reginald, do you have any rubbing alcohol? You don't have to be so formal. What's got you so worked up? It could get infected. Hey, come on. Aaron's the toughest guy I know, right, Aaron? My boyfriend looked up at me earnestly. It made me smile bashfully. Shut up, Lance. He's right. I'll be fine. Without being prompted, Xavier tried tearing what little was left of his clothes to make makeshift bandages. Xavier was the kind of guy to put others above himself, even when he was in a bad state. It's not an exaggeration to say that he's the reason I started to believe in hope again. Hope that there's at least some good out there, and that it's worth trying to find it. He opens his eyes and looks at me with compassion. It's thanks to him that I was able to meet you after all. It's got us to meet the resistance, and we eventually got employed by them. It was a good time, all in all. Aaron's expression turned sour. Well, I thought it was. Guess others thought differently. Aaron takes a deep breath after talking for so long. I hope that learning more about me doesn't scare you or anything. Aaron, you don't have to worry about that. You're like my best friend. The fact that you felt comfortable enough to tell me everything means a lot to me. It was mainly out of fear, if anything. And that in and of itself takes courage. Trust me, you're fine. Thank you, Silas. Don't mention it. Need a hug? I wouldn't turn one down. I'm a big guy. So we'll show him I stand up so I can give as big of a hug as I can manage. Like before, he's shaking as we embrace. Now more than ever, I want to tell him that there's a possibility that Xavier's alive and well, but I just can't. I need more information before I let him know. Maybe Silver can do something about that one day. Aaron eventually breaks the hug and starts to rub his eyes. Phew, I don't know what got over me. Man, it's got late. So Dad, I'm about ready for bed. What about you? You're here. Without hesitating, he takes the pill bottle out of his asshole. He pops a couple into his mouth before swallowing. Feel free to wake me up in the morning if I oversleep, but I'll try to set an alarm for us. Sounds good to me. I'm excited to sleep in a tent. I haven't gone camping in a long time. Then let's stop procrastinating and get to bed. Since the moon's the only source of light we have, Aaron tries to lead me to the tents. He gently takes my hand to guide me over everything. I wish I had good night vision. Once I'm back inside, he zips my tent closed. Then he heads to his, which is right next to mine. Good night, Silas, and thank you for listening. Thank you for telling me, Aaron. Good night, you big softy. Good night, Silas. Even from a tent over, I can definitely hear him purring. Listening to that easily puts me to sleep. Okay, so we're gonna stop right here. Alright, so we got to learn more about Aaron's life and the fact that he was actually kind of a bad guy. And he lived a tough life. And it was rough for him. And that made him turn to a bad person. And he needed to take his anger out on others. And it's something he's not proud of. I'm happy that he's not. I'm happy that he's not proud of it because Lance doesn't seem. Well, Lance, I think he does has some guilt about what he did to Cyrus, but he doesn't feel guilty enough about it like Aaron does with his past. Lance only seems to care about what Aaron and the others did to him and not about what he did to Cyrus. So we got to meet Reggie and got to meet Xavier. He seems to be a very selfless person. And we got to see Silver train Cyrus, and Cyrus being very bold, like putting the same trick on Silver that he did to Cyrus, try to be sneaky and throw him off. And we also got to learn a bit more about the way the world works, the politics, and the fact that there used to be a country that succeeded the United States, but the government was kind of crappy, so it basically made this current state of what used to be the United States is right now lag behind the rest of the world because they can't port to other parts of the world. Plus, apparently, Aaron and the others don't know anything about aeroplanes because when Cyrus said that he and his friends used to fly across the country between their home and medical school, that's when they were kind of shocked. Like, what do you mean you flew? And Aaron and Cyrus told them that they had airplanes that would fly people around the country and the world. That's all they could afford it. So apparently, despite this world being more advanced, in some ways, it's not. I think either Silver or Aaron told Cyrus that they had to rely on boats to get to one continent, get from one continent to another. So I'm kind of sad that they don't have any airplanes or anything that could take him from one part of the world to another through air. Because as advanced as this world is, I assumed that stuff will still exist, but apparently not. Again, state politics and the fact that this part of the country, this part of the world really, the former United States is lagging behind the rest of the world politically. Politics plays a role in that. So we'll continue with chapter 13. next time. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.